Ladies and gentlemen, good day and welcome to the Motherson Sumi Wiring India Limited Q4 FY23 results conference call. As a reminder, all participant lines will be in the listen-only mode, and there will be an opportunity for you to ask questions after the presentation concludes. Should you need assistance during the conference, please signal an operator by pressing star then 0 on your touchtone telephone. Please note that this conference is being recorded. I now hand the conference over to Mr. V.C. Sehgal from Motherson Sumi Wiring India Limited. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We're very pleased to announce the final results for quarter 4 and then for the year of the next WIS. We crossed a turnover of 7,000 crores for the first time. It's the first this year simply giving the results. And the EBITDA is 221 crores. Margin is approximately 11.9%. And the PAT is at 158 crores. I trust you have seen the presentation, and I'll hand it back for questions and answers, which our team is here to answer. Thank you.
So would you like to begin the question and answer session?
Yes, please.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may enter star and 1 on their touchtone telephone. If your questions have been answered and you wish to withdraw yourself from the queue, you may enter star and 2. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. To ask a question, you may enter star and 1. We have the first question from the line of Raghunandan from Nuvama Institutional Research. Please go ahead.
Congratulations, sir, on good numbers, and thank you so much for the opportunity. Firstly, good to see customer additions and participation in new models in FY23 and companies supplying to top players in electric vehicles. For the new high voltage wiring harness plants, can you provide some color on the ramp up? By when do you expect to reach optimal utilizations there?
Anurag, Pankaj?
Yes, thank you, Raghunandan, asking for this question. There are two parts of this question actually. One is about the utilization of the plant, and second about the high voltage products you are talking about. So I'll just come to the first part of the utilization. As we have a golden rule of, wherever we are reaching to 80% of our utilization, we start looking for the expanding our, capacity. So in tune of that, as soon as we are seeing that this FY24, the orders in hand, we have already worked out, and there will be expansion plans accordingly. The second part is that about the EV, we are already into the segment across the industry, whether it's PV, CV, two-wheeler, and buses. We are already supplying in all. And these are the products which are going into the same premises where we are making the other parts also. So we are already there, and a lot of RFQs are already in pipeline on which we are working.
Thank you, sir. 3 related questions. Firstly, on the high voltage wiring harness, it has been a recent start. And how do you see the ramp up of utilization for the new lines? Secondly, considering your strong relationships and localized manufacturing, can you elaborate on customer additions on the EV side? Would it be a mix of marquee customers and startups? And generally for the industry, what would be the share of imports in EVs for wiring harness?
Anurag?
This is
we don't announce the customers, but
yeah. So it's a mix. As both the established players are also in electric, and there are some new gen customers are also there. So we do with both type of customers. And in terms of the ramp up and how the high voltage side of it, capacity utilization and ramp ups happen, they are in sync with the customers, as you know. So the volumes are still taking off, and we are completely aligned with them. In terms of the import content, initial import content were higher, but as we move forward, a lot of localization is also taking place, and all the customers would want that at least 50% of the product be localized. So that's the direction in which everybody in the industry is moving forward. I hope that answers your question, Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. Sir, on the raw material cost side, there is some pressure. What has led to higher costs, and do you see any relief going forward?
I think, Pankaj?
So it's Raghunath, we supply to, as you know, so many different segments and so many different types of products to our customers. So when we look at overall raw material consumption, it's on in totality. If you will look on quarter by quarter, of course, there will be impact if there are copper increases or currency fluctuations also. But it's the overall total mix in which we are supplying.
Thank you, sir. I'll come back in the queue.
Thank you.
Thank you. Participants, if you have a question, you may enter star and 1. We have the next question from the line of Siddharth from Nomura. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. Thanks for the opportunity. So the first question is on the new model launches you are working on. So basically, last time you had indicated about 6 new models which are planned to be launched in the coming year. Is there any change to that number? Any further orders you have won? Any color on that?
I think it's been explained. We can't go customer-wise, but Pankaj, can you help how to? We've mentioned that 23 new launches, 17 phase tests are taking place, and Pankaj? Hello, Pankaj?
Yes, sir. So basically, as Mr. Sehgal mentioned, we can't be very specific on which models we are in, but you would see that in most of the new launches which have been happening, you will see Motherson in it, and that's what we see. We are very grateful to our customers to have to make us part of their new program. And that's what we have mentioned in this release also, that there have been so many new launches and facelifts which have taken place across. And as you see, we are amongst most of the top sellers in the country that the company has the privilege to be a supplier to the car makers and other segments as well.
Okay. And again, on this, coming back to this question on gross margins, I mean, we have seen commodity prices much higher in the past, and I mean, this is the lowest ever gross margins we have reported in this quarter for Sumi. So just wanted some more color. I mean, whether it is more to do with some new launches or EV share going up, or you can help us understand why it is lower, and I mean, what will change this, or any price hikes you are expecting from customers. It will be very helpful.
Gaga?
Thank you, sir. Siddharth, I think when we look at the results on a sequential basis, we have improved our EBITDA margin. While EBITDA is not something which we talk about, we target on return on capital employed. The inflationary pressure continues to be there, and the customer negotiation of those things is always work in progress. But at the same time, there has been a significant improvement in the cost side of it. So you can see our EBITDA margin improving on a sequential basis. So if there is anything, we can take it offline, which makes you feel differently. At the same point of time, you have seen a lot of new models which are under ramp up or where the efficiencies are under improvement. So we had earlier also said Q1, subject to customer schedules, all that standing stable, we should see all the volumes ramping up. And you have also heard OEMs talking about problem of chips not being completely over. Definitely, our teams have done a good job in cost management, and you see sequentially there is a marked improvement in the margins.
Got it, sir. So last question on the working capital side. I mean, if I look at for the whole year, it has remained high. So do we expect these levels in terms of number of days to continue, or do you believe it can normalize to some extent in the coming year?
There is definitely a scope for improvement, and the teams are working hard. At the same point of time, in absolute amounts, the working capital will go up because we have a growth rate of 20%. We have achieved the highest ever turnover in the last quarter, and on a yearly basis, 7,000 crores crossed last year. So at a particular point of time, when because working capital will be better, for example, would be the same in the last 13 days or so. So, of course, the inventory levels are relatively higher because of situation. Sometimes it happens, as well as the shipping time and all that have not been completely come to the pre-COVID level. So definitely we do see things getting better, and we'll be able to improve on the efficiency and on the inventory side, as well as the full ramp up of the new models will also ensure that our inventory levels become far more uniform, I would say. So, I mean, because sometimes you have to carry inventories which are kind of an unbalanced inventory, but once the volume are stabilized, then you have more uniform and balanced inventory. So scope for improvement is surely there, and we are working on that.
Got it, sir. Thanks a lot. I will come back in the year.
Thank you. Participants, if you have a question, you may enter star and 1. We have the next question from the line of Jinesh Gandhi from Motilal Oswal Financial Services. Please go ahead.
Thanks. A couple of questions from my side. One is on the two-wheeler segment, given that under IC side it was a relatively more fragmented market, are we seeing with increasing complexity because of electric two-wheelers, our competitive position getting stronger there? Hello?
Sorry, in between we were having difficulty. Can you repeat your question?
Okay, sure. So my question was on the two-wheeler segment. Given that in IC two-wheelers, wiring harness market is a bit more fragmented than other segments, and now with EVs, wiring harness getting a bit more complex in nature, are we seeing improvement in our competitive positioning in electric two-wheeler wiring harness?
Jineshji, I mean, we have been with the makers, and there are some established players who have gone into electric, some new generation players who have come in. We are with both kinds of segments. So to say that how is the competitiveness or is it improving? Of course, our competitiveness always has been there and will continue to improve. That is the endeavor of the company.
Okay. I mean, if you compare vis-a-vis ICE and EVs, then EVs on the two-wheeler side would be having higher market share. That's basically my question.
I mean, as you know, that the company has never focused on forcing itself towards the market share. We have always focused in terms of creating solutions for our customers, and they are also ensuring that we provide good results to all our stakeholders in that sense. So we always work together very closely with our customers, and that's the way we continue to progress. And you would have seen over a period of time that different segments, whether it is CV side or commercial vehicles, or as markets have evolved and as good products are acquired based on the new requirements, your company has done well. So that's the endeavor.
Got it. And second question is on the PLI incentive, given that we are one of the beneficiaries for PLI incentive. With the recent investments in this Sumi plant qualify for the investment criteria, or that has to be on the advanced products only?
Dinesh, we are registered for PLI, and of course the scheme which is there is in public domain as per the Government of India, which has both the criteria of investment and revenue side. I think that's the Government of India PLI scheme you are referring to.
Yeah. So my question was the investments which you have done, CapEx which you have done in FY23, would that be qualifying under the PLI requirement, or we need to invest on the advanced product side only?
I mean, this is too specific information. I do not like.
Okay, sure. I understand. And lastly, any guidance on CapEx for FY24? Last year we had in the material. How would be our CapEx in FY24?
In this year, 23-24, we see a capex of 125 crores, which does not include land and building. This is mainly for the customer increased demand on that. As you know, land and buildings, we have taken on rentals from Sumi, and the future investment, depending upon the availability of land and all that, will be done by the company.
Got it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Participants, if you have a question, you may enter star and 1. We have the next question from the line of Joseph George from IIFL. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Just one question. So when you reported 4Q FY22 results, you had given us a split of your revenues into PV, CV, two-wheelers, etc. And in subsequent quarters that you had mentioned that you will report this on an annual basis. Would it be possible to share it now with for maybe the full year FY23 numbers?
We have to give something in the annual report also. So we will surely be sharing, but there is no significant change. But surely we will be sharing that.
So you said that will be reported in the annual report?
That is what we think is the next opportunity to report that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Participants, if you have a question, you may enter star and 1. We have the next question from the line of Kiran from Informist. Please go ahead.
Can you give us a bit more clarity on exactly did you see?
I'm sorry to interrupt, Mr. Kiran. You'll have to speak a little louder. We cannot hear you.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, please go ahead. Thank you.
Yeah. So can you give us a bit more clarity on the kind of cost increase that you have seen in Q4 on a year-on-year basis?
Cost increase in? I didn't understand.
I mean, cost increase in the fourth quarter on a year-on-year basis.
Goma, can you understand? For some reason, I don't have clarity coming over here.
Sir, I asked the kind of cost increase that you have seen in the fourth quarter on a year-on-year basis.
Sir, actually, The wiring harness is one product which undergoes a significant amount of changes. And also you have seen a lot of models. So for us to compare on like-to-like basis which component or this is a very marathon exercise. So I have not clearly understood what you want to really gain from that. Surely we know how the inflationary pressure has been in terms of certain amount of cost, salary wages, or certain shipping cost, or certain components, or the copper price compared to say last year it may have been at the same level or lower. Sequentially it will have moved up. So I think it is a combination of various factors and no including currency. And no like-to-like comparison is possible because we are not selling the identical product or the same product what we were doing last year.
Got it, sir.
Mr. Kiran, does that answer your questions?
Yeah, got it. Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have a question, you may enter star and 1. We have the next question from the line of Basudev Banerjee from ICICI Securities. Please go ahead.
Thanks. Just one question.
Mr. Banerjee, sorry to interrupt. Please be a little louder, sir.
Yeah, am I audible?
Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, just wanted to know the new facilities which got added and are gradually getting ramped up. So this staff cost expense of roughly 300 crore, which is there in the P&L for last couple of quarters. So is that building in the staff cost of those new facilities fully, or that can add lumpiness to the staff cost other than annual inflation?
I think, absolute number is to be seen with respect to the revenues of that quarter. As I said in earlier question, we have improved on our cost parameter on a sequential basis. So in December 22 also, our cost was 300 crore. This quarter, with the revenues up from 1665 to 1844, our employee cost is 291 crore. I remember in September it was 300 plus. So yes, there will be annual inflation or in terms of performance reviews. Also, there are mandatory wage increase which come on a minimum wages, which consequently increases wages for salaries in each of the regions. But I think it is to be compared with respect to the revenues which we generate for that particular period, rather than fixing it in absolute amount. If I have understood your question correctly.
So, like you Concall back when you were saying that the new capacities are adding say 40% to the revenue potential, maximum revenue potential. So on a prorated basis, the staff cost potential can also should have been increasing with the incremental facilities being added. So just wanted to know that the full staff cost for those new facilities are already in this number, or that is yet to come? Or it is linked fully to revenue, and as the revenue picks up, accordingly you will add the staff. So how to look at it?
Yeah, let me address the question in 2 ways. Number one, new facilities which have been created, we have manned them with the indirect manpower or whatever the staff strength we need to add. At the same point of time, when we said 40% will come from the new model, so what we were saying that there have been a complete change in the new models as well as the phase. So the revenues which will get contributed from in future, 40% will come from the new parts which are developed, which were not in production earlier. So that is how we have. So we added 3 facilities as we have said, and these 3 facilities have been fully manned. At the same point of time, as the capacity utilization of these further improves, and as the volume customers' demand for volume further increases, we may have additions of the direct manpower, to some extent indirect manpower. So that is what I am requesting, that it is to be seen in relation to the customer orders as well as the revenues which are to be generated.
Sure. Thanks.
Mr. Banerjee, does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, to ask a question, you may enter star and 1. Participants, if you have a question, you may enter star and 1. As there are no further questions from participants, I now hand the conference back to Mr. V.C. Sehgal for closing comments. Please go ahead, sir.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, this being the first year, so the results are there. We are very optimistic on the orders and the kind of conditions that are present. We believe that there is still some supply chain problems on semiconductors and all that. Those things are being addressed, and we think the future belongs to this good company. Thank you very much, and wish you all a safe and healthy week. Thank you.
Thank you, members of the management. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Motherson Sumi Wiring India Limited, that concludes this conference. Thank you for joining us, and you may now disconnect your lines. Thank you.